hump day, ladies and gentlemen, on the number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, hit that subscribe button, smash that subscribe button. If you have not subscribed already, hit that button right there. Get your friends to subscribe so that way you have everything you crave on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. Also, be sure to hit that like button too. Run those likes up, hit that like button, give us a thumbs up right there. Turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell so that way you can get all of your news, notes, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. We also got you covered here on Facebook and Twitter as well. We got a lot to talk about because we are inching closer to the ultimate chess match, the SEC and the College Football Playoff National Championship game. Of course, we all knew this was going to happen. We got Alabama-Georgia again. Yes, again. The sequel, this time from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis on next Monday night, taking on all supremacy that is college football. Is the mental block of Nick Saban still in Kirby Smart's mind? We will figure this out here next Monday, but we got some awesome guests here tonight. We got my man Mike McCoy, 2009 National Championship wide receiver for the Crimson Tide, joining us here later on. And he has, or he knows all too well about those revenge types of games, winning those revenge matchups. So he'll be on to talk about that. And then also we got my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, to come on here to give us his word from the Under Armour All-America game in Orlando, Florida. Justin was down there, boots on the ground, seeing all of the various 2022 signees for the Tide do well there in that area of competition. So, want to hear from you guys tonight. Blow the phone lines up, 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard. Do not let tonight in without your voice hitting the phone line. Do not let tonight in without your passion being made known here on the show. 205-448-1358, number to call in right there. Daily Super Chat goes $75. Appreciate you guys for all the love and support that you give us here. Got my man John Ivory in the production studio. But I got to give a shout out right now to my girl Erica B from the Birmingham area. You follow her on Instagram at Erica B Kicks, because Miss Erica has designed the ultimate shoe here, people. We got the only in my own words shoe, Nike cleat here. The only in my own words shoe. You're not going to find this anywhere else, I promise you. If I was playing high school ball in 2010 as a senior in high school with these shoes on, I probably would have been a D1 athlete. Maybe I could have went pro, who knows? But for now, cool little NIL deal for me right here. So we got the only in my own words kick right here, and then kind of along with that, we got the TDA, the ultimate TDA shoes. We got the TDA in my own words collab right here, courtesy of Erica B here in the Birmingham area. Erica B Kicks. You got to check her out on Instagram. Did a phenomenal job with the detailing, the design of these cleats right here. These are fire. These are outstanding. And then not just the cleats, but we also have the Touchdown Alabama. Hello, we got the 50-yard line. The TDA 50-yard line. Check this sucker out. TDA with the 50-yard line here. Football. Erica B out of Birmingham. Erica B Kicks on Instagram. Check her out. Does incredible work. Really enjoyed this right here. So that was awesome. That was fantastic there. But we're going to get into now topic number one of the conversation on tonight's show, because, John, I feel like this is the ultimate chess match between Alabama and Georgia. You have two different ideals going at it. You will have two different poker chips, two different blackjack cards going on the table between the Crimson Tide and the Bulldogs. And for Georgia, the card will be the SEC championship game was a fluke, right? That was not the real Georgia. You know, Eminem with a real Slim Shady, please stand up, you know? So Georgia felt like it wasn't the real Georgia in the SEC championship game. You have quite a few Bulldog players that spoke today about how, you know, we knew we would end up still in a national championship game. So it really didn't affect us all that much to lose to Alabama in the SEC championship because we knew we would be right back here in the major game, in the big picture. And also, you had a lot of, players saying, hey, you removed 2 or 3 plays from that game. Georgia could have won that game. We could have won that game being the Bulldogs. You removed some plays. You removed some situations. You had the ball bounce in the other direction. Game could have easily went there to Georgia. Then you have Georgia's offensive coordinator, Todd Monken, spoke today about, look, they're going to get our best shot. Alabama's going to get our best shot this time around. Now, does this best shot mean that Georgia's going to go 4 or 5 wide receivers on the field offensively? Remains to be seen. And then you have Coach Dan Lanning, the defensive coordinator for the Bulldogs, mentioning there are so many different ways we can go about pressuring Bryce Young in this matchup, though he did not go into those ways. But the point being, Georgia is entering this game with the card of SEC championship fluke. That was not the real us. You saw how we just destroyed and snatched the soul from Michigan. That was the real us. That was the real Georgia. So that's the card that Georgia's going with. Of course, the card Alabama's going with is the underdog card again. And this is the one where Nick Saban and this team is going, look, we beat these guys by 17 points on December 4th of last year in Atlanta in a quote-unquote neutral site game, though this was more so of a home game for the Bulldogs. And Alabama was a near touchdown underdog, 6.5-point underdog. Bama goes in there, beats Georgia by 17, 41-24. And then after suffocating Cincinnati to death in the Cotton Bowl, here we go again with Vegas putting the money on the table again in terms of Georgia. This time the Bulldogs a 3-point favorite over the Crimson Tide. So Nick Saban loves the underdog role. He cherishes the underdog role. He looks forward to this because this provides him with the ultimate card here of motivation. I mean, since the A&M game, people have doubted Alabama. People have said, this team probably, well, not even probably, the weakest team of the Saban era since 2007. But yet, this is the Alabama team that is in the college football playoff, in the national championship game, won the SEC, has the Heisman Trophy winner, has the Bronco Nagurski Award winner, among other things. But I think the biggest thing here, John, is when you look at Kirby Smart here, and this is why the pressure is big to win this game, because if Kirby does not win this one, it mentally cripples him, and here's why. It's the fact of the matter that there's a mental block there when it comes to taking care of Alabama, when it comes to defeating Nick Saban. Georgia is 1-7 all time against Nick Saban as Alabama's head coach. The only win was 2007, Saban's first year, 26-23. Kirby is 0-4 against Coach Saban, including 3 losses in championship situations. So there is kind of a mental block there that Kirby has to get over. And if you look at this particular team, what most people would say, what most national pundits would say about this Alabama team is statistically the worst team, the weakest team of the Saban era since 2007. Now, you got to give Alabama the credit here. It has improved. From the start of the year to this point, it has greatly improved. We've seen production, we've seen changes, we've seen adjustments, we've seen alterations, we've seen big play on both sides of the ball. So this group has come a long way from the season opener against Miami in Atlanta. But just going back to the national landscape of people would tell you this is, to them, weakest Alabama team, worst Alabama team in the Saban era since 2007. And they're going, if Kirby Smart cannot beat this Alabama team, if Georgia cannot take out this Alabama team, will Kirby ever be able to win a big one against Alabama in terms of a championship? Now, and this is also huge for Kirby because of the fact that, he convinced a lot of these guys that could be playing pro ball right now to come back. I mean, you convinced a Jordan Davis to come back. You convinced a Quay Walker to come back. You convinced, quite a few guys to come back for this opportunity to compete for a national title. And when you look at Georgia potentially, losing a bunch of these guys, if not all of these guys, to the draft after the season, huge moment here for Smart. But he doesn't get this one. I think it mentally cripples him because it becomes, what do I have to do to beat Saban? What do I have to do? What do I have to get? What do I have to get my hands on? What is he going to take for me to finally get over this hurdle here? Now, when it comes to Coach Saban, a win on Monday night of next week would ultimately, in everything, put Coach Saban over the legendary Paul Bear Bryant in terms of championships at Alabama. Now, right now, both are tied in terms of Alabama. Coach Saban with 6 championships at Alabama, Paul Bear Bryant with 6 in Tuscaloosa. Now, Saban has 7 overall due to the one he won in 2003 at LSU. A win next week would give Nick Saban 7 at Alabama, which would have him over the Bear in terms of all things Alabama football, and that's something that Crimson Tide fans really want to see take place and happen on the field. He has done a tremendous job with this particular Crimson Tide team. And I mentioned this before, you're not going to be able to be a hard-nosed, not a hard-nosed, but a hardcore coach every single time. There are going to be some moments where you may have to try a nurturing tactic. You may have to try something different to pull out the best in players, the brightest in players, the dominant traits in players, that dog mentality in a player that Coach Saban enjoys talking about so much. Sometimes you have to find different ways to pull that out of guys, to bring the best out of players. And with this team being younger than most teams, still talented, probably even more talented, but younger than most teams, Saban has found a way to do that. But you got 2 poker chips on the table here for next week. Man, I'm ready for Indy. You got Georgia looking at SEC championship game, a fluke. That was not the real us. That was not the real Georgia. Next week, y'all gonna get the real Georgia. Next week, y'all gonna get the real soul snatching, the real gorillas, the real killers out there on the field. You're gonna get the real Georgia next week. Now, in terms of Alabama, the card is, hey, underdog again. We'll take it. Look, I mean, y'all been doubting us since the lost to Texas A&M. We haven't gotten our respect. We haven't received our respect. We beat this Georgia team by 17 points in Atlanta back on December 4th and suffocated Cincinnati to death in the Cotton Bowl, and still now 3-point dog to Georgia. So let's get, in the words of Marvin Gaye, let's get it on. In the words of Marvin Gaye, let's get some football going here. Bama, Georgia next week, national championship, Lucas Oil Stadium. But folks, we take a break right here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting started. Upon our return, we go to the phone lines to get your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your interactions. Let the passion flow. And we're doing that after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they've put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at Emily'sHeirloomPoundCakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, people, we're back to the action from the break on a Wednesday, hump day, number one ticket for your Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Be sure to like the show. Run those likes up. Hit that thumbs up. Give us a like here on the show. Make this your show, your network, your platform, your channel, your space to talk, discuss Crimson Tide football. Before we get to your calls right here, got a couple of super chats to roll down. So how about Bill from New York one time, baby? Big Bill from New York with that $5 donation, showing love here on the show. We appreciate Bill. And Jimmy Cash Clay. Jimmy Cash Money. Throw it in the bag, Clay, with that $25 donation there coming from Jimmy Clay. Appreciate the love there from both of them, Bill from New York and Jimmy Clay. Daily Super Chat go once again, $75. We appreciate you, the Tide Nation, for all that you do, being a part of our family right here, because we're all one big family. We go live to the phone lines to take your calls. The call segment's brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in right there, 205-448-1358. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey there, Stephen. This is Jim Gallagher out of Dallas. How you doing?
Jim, doing fantastic, man. How you feeling?
Feel pretty good. I've been looking things over, and I think maybe Kirby may not be able to get past that Saban voodoo magic spell that he's put on him until he gets himself a big boy haircut. I don't know. The only reason that Stetson's still starting is because he mows Kirby's yard and cuts his hair for free with a bowl. But, of course, I'm just kidding about that. I respect Kirby a lot, and he's done a great job at Georgia. I respected him when he was here. I don't see a lot of difference between this time and the first time. I think both teams are going to do what they do best, and I think that's what they should do. You don't want to put a load on a bunch of young kids by changing things around on them. We want to play fast and keep that big boy running back and forth to the bench for oxygen like he did the first time, and keep him out of our hair and out of Bryce's hair, and we want to stretch the field. I would like to see myself, I would like to see them use Jameson a lot like they did Mechie, more or less as a pass receiver and a possession receiver instead of, just a deep threat, and just send him deep a couple times just to scare the Georgia secondary. But leave a lot of that up to Brooks also. As far as the Georgia defense, I don't look for them to blitz a lot. A lot of people are saying they're going to. I don't think they will, because I think Kirby's smart enough to know that if he does that, he runs a real serious risk of getting behind on that deep ball and get himself in trouble where he has to play catch-up again. And, everybody knows that he's not going to be able to play catch-up with our offense. But I do think this game is going to be closer. I think field goals are going to be important in this game. And I'm looking for something like a 30-24 game, maybe even a 30-27 game. I think there's going to be times when both of us get down there in the red zone, but can't punch it in and have to settle for field goals. But I am looking forward to a really good effort from both teams. I just hope there's no more injuries on either side, no controversies, no screwball plays, balls bouncing off helmets and catching for touchdowns. And freakish plays like that. I just like to see a good solid ball game where, like I say, nobody gets hurt. Both teams play their best, and the best team win.
Absolutely. Appreciate my man Jim there for the call, starting us off. He's got 30-27 in favor of Alabama there against Georgia in the national championship game next week on that Monday night. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steve? This is Elijah from Jersey. How you feeling?
What's going on, man? How we been?
Man, I've been hanging in there. I think this game, personally, Bill O'Brien going to have to earn his money this game, to be honest with you. This game is different than the first game. We all know the running game is not going to be like Cincinnati. Brian Robinson isn't going to have that 200-yard game because this is a different front than Cincinnati. More talented Georgia is. But B-Rob has to be a factor in this game, without a doubt. You can't go one-dimensional. You have to have that threat of being able to at least try to run the ball on this defense. But I think a lot of people are overlooking and underestimating the value Mechie had with this team. Mechie was not just an explosive receiver, but Mechie was also a great possession receiver. And I'm not saying Brooks isn't a good receiver. The kid has showed up. But, Mechie is very, versatile. Mechie can beat you deep. Mechie can also go across the middle. Mechie can also run the out routes. He's a good possession receiver also. And another reason why I say Bill O'Brien going to have to have the best play calling of his life for this game, because I don't believe, like your previous caller said, that Jameson Williams needs to be in that slot. We're going to have him as that deep ball threat. He's going to have to be on the outside, I feel, and Slade, Baker, somebody on that inside is going to have to create havoc against this defense, because we need Jameson Williams to pose that deep ball threat. We don't need all them guys, crouching up to the line of scrimmage. We want them to play back, so that can open up the mid-game passing range. We're going to need Billingsley. Even though, like I say, Mechie only played a half of football that first game, that guy was crucial. Williams beat him deep. We all seen that. But Mechie was very crucial in that first half. He caught good passes for first downs. And the thing with Georgia is the only way to get them tired is to keep moving the chains. And in order to keep moving the chains, you got to get the first downs. You need those Slade Bolden type of receivers to give you 8 yards. You can't get behind on the chains, man. So I just feel that, this game really is going to rely on Bill O'Brien and Jameson Williams on the outside, posing that deep ball threat. Javon Baker, because he played a lot against Cincinnati, he's going to have to step up and pose a threat in that mid-passing game, along with Slade Bolden and Booker on the outside, because we all know we can come from behind. We can. We have an explosive style offense, but it's tougher when you're going to be one-dimensional, because we all know Brian Robinson ain't running for that 200 yards. We all know he's not running for that 150. So this is going to be we got to beat them vertically. Let me know what you think about that, Steve.
I mean, Elijah, we appreciate the call there on his end. And when I look at Javon Baker, Baker could have had a really nice catch against Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl, just could not quite secure it. But he's got the talent to be out there on the field and make plays. And I feel like you're going to have to use Jameson Williams in different ways, primarily as a deep threat. But this is why guys like Javon Baker came to Alabama. Guys like Ja'Cory Brooks came to Alabama. Guys like Slade Bolden came to Alabama for moments like these. Not having Mechie does hurt because of of what he brings as an all-around receiver, a 1,000-yard target in his own right. But this is why other guys chose to come to Alabama for matchups like this. We grab this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hi, Steve. Bill from New York. How you doing, brother?
Bill, doing great, man. How you feeling?
We're good. We're good. You know, I've been thinking about the game a lot, obviously, you know, like everybody else. And I don't know. I think defense is the way to win this game. You see, to me, our biggest edge is a quarterback. So, like, you know, in terms of the play. So what I want to do is punish their quarterback. You know, and we got to knock him on his behind, got to pick him off, got to force fumbles, sack him. You know, that's what we got to do. And if we can do things like that, the offense doesn't have to do too much. That's what I'm thinking. I'll give you an example. Like last night, I watched the last year's title game. I know I have issues. That's not the point. But what I'm saying is I was watching a game, and, you know, the first pass that Fields threw, Brian Branch batted that down. You know what I mean? And he's coming into his own, and that's what we have to do. We got to do things like that. Because, look, no matter what we want to think, we don't have the offense we had last year. Steven, we just don't, you know, who does? There's nobody who does. I mean, that offense was that good. Then I want to segue from there to the other big edge we have is obviously Coach Saban. You know, I never seen any coach like that in any sport. He put in Tua and took out a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts and won the game with that. And that onside kick against Clemson was the best coaching call I ever saw in any sport. Nobody saw that coming, Steven. No, I don't think anybody in the world saw that coming. I know I didn't. I want to tell me who did. You know, I want you to tell me who knew that play was going to happen. Changed the whole game, and we won it. You know, and next thing, I just want to say real quick that, you know, your show it just keeps getting better and better. You know, you're doing such a great job, and this podcast means a lot to me. You know, it's great to get things off my chest about Bama, have people to talk to. And last, I want to pray for everybody with COVID. You know, up here, it's real bad. Everybody's gotten it. And, you know, I got family members with it. And I pray that, you know, we're all okay with it and nobody gets hurt bad, gets too sick. And with that, I'll say goodnight, Stephen. Am I making any sense?
Hey, you making sense, Bill. You making sense, man. You making sense. We appreciate it, Bill. Appreciate my man Bill from New York calling in and giving us his thoughts here on the show. We got William Bryant with that 50-piece. He walked in here with a $50 donation, showing love out here on the show. Appreciate my man William Bryant out of Iowa. That daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate you, the fans, showing love here on the show. Continue to get your calls in, 205-448-1358. Don't let this night end. Do not let this night end without letting your passion ooze through those phone lines. 205-448-1358. That is the number right there. But we're going to transition to this topic. Bama in the NFL, and one King Derrick Henry is back. King is back. Derrick Henry is off injured reserve. The Titans have him off IR. Tennessee is in the playoffs, and they have Derrick Henry back to make this huge run in the postseason, and to have Henry back, who had a foot issue during the early part of the season against the Colts. He is back. He will be playing for the Titans in the postseason. He practiced today, and he looked pretty good. He looked really good going through the little drills, through the trash can drills, the bag drills, tackle dummy drills, all those things right there. Good to see 22 Derrick Henry at 6'3", 247 pounds, back on the field, doing his thing, trying to help the Titans make a deep run here in the playoffs. Could it be a Super Bowl? Maybe, but we're just going to see how this plays out here for Henry and the Titans. Got to shout out my man Elijah with that $20 donation, showing love from the show. Appreciate Elijah helping us out here on the platform. So, We're going to go take a break here, folks, so touch that dial. If you're holding on the call lines, continue to hold for the next 10 minutes, or you can call back in the next 10 minutes. But we're taking a break here. When we come back, we get to our two outstanding guests, Mike McCoy, 2009 BCS National Champion, and my man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Folks, we'll be back right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your four-finger bling necklace at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your four-finger bling necklace right now at WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back in rolling, folks, from the break of a number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. That being, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine, my man John Ivory in the production studio. We're inching closer and closer to the rematch, the sequel, Alabama-Georgia part. I don't know what this is, but it's Alabama-Georgia again. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart again. For all the marbles, all the tea in China, all the poker chips in my pocket, which I have no poker chips in my pocket, but that's besides the point. We're going to go to the In My Own Words hotline right now. We pick up our two outstanding guests. The first of two, one of the heaviest hitters I ever known, a guy that I consider a great friend, a tremendous brother, and one of the 2009 BCS National Championship guys under Coach Saban. The man, the myth, the bona fide legend, my man Mike McCoy out of Maximum Performance Institute in Birmingham. Mike, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? It's a pleasure, man. It's always, I appreciate the warm welcome, brother.
Got Mike McCoy right here joining us live on the show. If you're just tuning in, 2009 BCS National Champion with the Crimson Tide. So, Mike, you are used to this because I remember you and I would say this story a lot about 2008. That was an Alabama team that should have won the SEC that year. Not able to beat Florida. Suffered a loss there, but I remember 2009, you talked to me about how everything was just different. It felt different. It looked different. The execution was different. The air was different, and how you guys took on the task of that season, getting back to the SEC championship game, playing Florida, beating Florida and Tim Tebow, and then winning the national championship. Here we have a situation with Georgia in a sense of, lost to Alabama in the SEC championship, now gets a chance to play Alabama again for the national. How do you see this game going for Alabama and Georgia the second time around?
Well, man, like we always say, if you're an athletic fan, if whatever sport, it's hard to beat a team twice. Is it doable? Always. And when you give Coach Saban 2 weeks to prepare for anything, you're in trouble. That's just flat out. But in order for Alabama to win this game, we are going to have to run. We're going to have to – last week, Brian Robinson showed that Alabama was a balanced offense. And with Mechie being out, who I consider the X factor in our success, being a win for us to win the national, I think B-Rob evened it out. And I think Georgia's going to be pissed off, but I don't think that secondary that they have can match up with our receivers.
We got Mike McCoy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mike. Finish your point right there.
No, I was just going to say I think it's going to be a slug match, but if we talking numbers, I think Bama's going to pull it out, man. I'm really too terribly not worried.
We're joined by Mike McCoy here on the phone lines. If you're just tuning into the show on a Wednesday, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Mike McCoy, the founder of Maximum Performance Institute here in Birmingham, 2009 national champion. Mike, as we look now at the offense, your side of the ball, you played receiver here for the Crimson Tide. What do you want to see, or what could we see from this offense? Do you see anything different from the first matchup in the SEC title game? Does Bama mix things up? What do you see offensively in this matchup for Alabama?
Well, I don't think now Georgia, their front seven is who I thought they were this past game. The first time that they met, they didn't show up. Everybody was just talking about they're the best defense in the country. Man, that's good on paper, and we always know, man, the East is never as strong as the West, man. Let's just be point blank. It is what it is. Yeah, they beat up on Michigan. Hey, man, that's Michigan. It's not the SEC. So they're in a different arena, man. What I think needs to take place is it's going to be mismatches across the field. I don't think that their secondary can match up with our tight ends or our receivers. I think Bolden has eased the pressure off Williams. I think he showed that he's a efficient receiver, just given the right opportunity. You know, we're all system players, and when you give a kid and you put him in the right system, everybody thrives. So with the system that Alabama is running right now, running the ball strong as they are, and shoot, it's the end of the game, and our running backs are playing like they're playing. That's hard to beat, man. It's a ground and pound game, and it's the air attack. I think this is a well-balanced team.
Mike, just sticking right here with the offense for just a moment here, I don't want to put too much pressure on this particular player, but it just seems like to me this would be a game where Jaleel Billingsley, number 19, could have that moment, and he's the one that Alabama fans want to see so much this year have a breakout season, especially what he did a season ago in 2020. Could this be the moment for Jaleel, in your opinion?
Man, a kid like that, one thing about Coach Saban, he going to humble you, bro. I don't care how good you are. Coach Saban told me I would never be a number one receiver in the NFL. And it pissed me off because he said, you're too hard-headed. He said, you're so talented to the point that you don't listen to anybody. And I think that may be a situation where he's dealing with, where he understands, yeah, I'm super talented, but, man, sometimes you have to put that pride aside. And one thing about it, Coach Saban going to make you find out the hard way. But that kid with his talent and his caliber, any game can be a breakout game for him. He's unguardable. But no player is above the team in Coach Saban's eyes. I'm just going to be honest. I've seen him do it to any and everybody. Just because you're a superstar, bro, you will sit on that sideline if you're not with the program. If you're not buying in, you won't play.
If you are just tuning in, you're getting the wisdom right here from my man Mike McCoy, the founder, CEO of Maximum Performance Institute out of Birmingham, 2009 BCS National Champion with the Crimson Tide, right here on In My Own Words on a Wednesday. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We now flip this to defense, Mike. Since the Texas A&M game, this defense has gotten better. The guys have turned up. You're seeing improvement. You're seeing better communication. Guys are acting like they got that dog in them finally, and it's not just Will Anderson. It's starting to hit all across the board here, but in this matchup where it all meets everything, we're talking full supremacy here of college football for national championship. What do you want to see from this defense, Mike, against Georgia and trying to hoist this trophy?
What I need to see from this defense, man, is we're going to really make them – we're going to have – our secondary, those tight ends that Georgia have, now them boys got me nervous. Just because they're elite. I'm not sure. I know George Pickens is back. I know ACL, they everybody say 8 to 8 to a year, but depending, I don't know what type of surgery he had, because you do have different type of ACL injuries, and those are kind of hard to come back by. I know on realistic, it takes at least 18 months for him to be 100%, depending on the procedure. So, not saying I'm not worried about him. He's a freak of nature. I got a chance to watch him play high school ball. Very familiar with him. Special talent. But I'm afraid of those tight ends. And I feel like in order for us to have the success, we are going to have to force them to run the ball. We are going to have to crowd the quarterback, and we're going to have to make them run. I don't think if they run the ball, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance to win.
He is Mike McCoy, ladies and gentlemen, keeping it the way it is, telling it like it is. 2009 BCS National Champion, the owner, founder of Maximum Performance Institute out of Birmingham, helping us out here on the show. Mike, as always, my brother, we appreciate you. Take care of yourself, my man. Be good. Happy New Year to you. Enjoy the game next week, man.
Man, y'all be blessed, man. Peace and blessings, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Absolutely. Mike McCoy, former Alabama receiver, 2009 BCS National Champion, joined us here on the show talking Crimson Tide football. But now we move to our legend, the TDA legend, the boots on the ground legend, the hardest working man in show business. We got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. He is everywhere looking at these athletes. Justin, what's going on, man?
It's always good to be on, Steven. I'm happy to talk about the time I spent in Orlando checking out several Alabama football 2022 signings.
It was fun. See, it was fun having you down there, Justin, in Orlando, looking at the Under Armour All-America game and all of the guys for 2022 that have signed with the Crimson Tide. So, first and foremost, with you being down there and you getting a chance to check out all of these guys up close, up front, and in person, who were some of the players that really stood out in your mind in terms of the signees?
Well, it was definitely a great time to get an opportunity to see a lot of these guys for the first time in person, including guys like Aaron Anderson, who was really impressive. I probably walked away most impressed with him because of the explosiveness, the unreal speed that he possesses. His route running ability is incredible. He knows how to create separation, adjust to the football. It doesn't matter if the quarterback throws a bad ball. He knows how to adjust to it, get the football. Almost came up with a touchdown. It was pretty much a touchdown, but the referee did not call it a touchdown in the actual Under Armour All-American game. So I think the Crimson Tide fan base should definitely be excited about Aaron Anderson. If I had to pick a wide receiver who the Crimson Tide are going to bring in over the next couple of months who could possibly make an early impact, I would look at Aaron Anderson at the top of that list. When you take a look at his frame, he looks a little bit like a running back. He is basically college ready when you take a look at his frame. So I am really high on Aaron Anderson after watching him in the Under Armour All-America game last week. There were a couple of guys who I have seen already a lot in person, but getting the opportunity to see guys like Emmanuel Henderson actually go up against guys who he will play against at the next level was pretty incredible. As most Alabama fans know, he did play 2A high school football, which is one of the lower classifications inside the state of Alabama. So he had an opportunity to go up against some of the top players in the country, and he held his own. He looked really impressive. Of course, when you're in the All-America type of event, you can't really grade the linebackers and running backs a lot because they don't do a lot of contact during the week. But we were able to see Emmanuel Henderson look really good catching the ball out of the backfield. So he looked like a natural pass catcher, natural receiver coming out of the backfield. I was really impressed with what he was able to do. Jahad Campbell, the surprise of the Crimson Tide 2022 recruiting class, looked really well in space. I know he's listed as a defensive end on most recruiting sites, but if you guys were able to see the interview on our YouTube page that I was able to do with him, he said that the Crimson Tide are looking at possibly playing him at outside linebacker and at inside linebacker. He played inside linebacker for most of the time during the Under Armour All-America event last week. He looked really good in space at 6'3", 215 pounds. He's bringing a lot of versatility. So it was just a great event. 9 Alabama signees participated in it over last week.
our own Justin Smith at the Under Armour All-America game in Orlando, Florida, checking out the 2022 signees here for the Crimson Tide. So, Justin, as we look at here, a young man from the Birmingham area, by the way, of Ramsey High School, that you spent a lot of time covering. This would be the 2021 signing class, and this young man, Tim Keenan III, has had an incredible body transformation here. He posted some photos of this on his Twitter, on his social media, showing kind of the before and after of before coming to Alabama and since being in the program with Jeff Allen, Miss Amy Bragg, the head nutritionist, also David Ballou and Dr. Matt Ray, the strength and conditioning speed staff, and just you see the transformation on screen. When you look at just next spring, how impressive was this body transformation for Tim Keenan when you talk about him potentially getting some playing time on that defensive line?
I think this is going to be huge for Tim Keenan. Of course, heading into the University of Alabama, a lot of people were concerned about his weight, with him being listed on Alabama's roster right now at 6'2" and 335 pounds. Although I don't think he weighs that much now when you take a look at the body transformation he was able to go through. So I think this is huge for him. He's going to get faster. I think that weight kind of slowed him down a little bit during his senior season, but he still was really productive for Ramsey High School, helped them have one of the top defenses in the state of Alabama at the high school level over the last past year. So I think this is going to be huge for him, dropping that weight. He understood that he had to do that as the next level. I remember before he even committed to the Crimson Tide, he said that was one of his goals was to drop some weight. So this is going to be huge for him, with some competing to possibly get some playing time this spring and hopefully next season. So I think this is going to do wonders for Tim Keenan, dropping that weight, getting faster. I know you were able to see that video of him working with his trainer during the Christmas break. So he's definitely putting in work to make sure that his body is in shape for his opportunity.
If you are just tuning into the show on a Wednesday hump day, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, got the man Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, talking Bama, recruiting, and more here on the show. So, Justin, when you look at this upcoming spring after the season, you mentioned Aaron Anderson as one guy, but who would be some other players that could really have an impact in the spring and could really push for a starting opportunity or marquee playing opportunity for the 2022 recruits?
Well, I think the first guy that comes to mind is Tyler Booker. He was also really impressive at the Under Armour All-America event last week, was really good in the game. He always looks good. I had an opportunity to see him play a couple of times over the last couple of seasons in live game action. Have also seen him play in a lot of camp settings, and he never loses one-on-one battles. I've never seen him lose any one-on-one rep, and I think that speaks a lot about Tyler Booker, the athletic 6'5", 325-pound offensive lineman out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. I think his natural position will be offensive guard, so I think he's a guy that I think you will hear a lot about during the spring. I think a lot of people are talking about him already after watching that Under Armour All-American game on last Sunday. So I think Tyler Booker sits at the top of the list in terms of guys who could make an impact during the spring in terms of the early enrollees. But I'm also excited to see a lot of other guys, including Jeremiah Alexander, with the strength that he possesses. Of course, it may be hard for him to get on the field when you take a look at Alabama's outside linebacker room, but I have always been impressed with Jeremiah Alexander. I just want to see how he will fit in when he gets at the University of Alabama and has to learn behind guys like Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, Drew Sanders, and possibly Chris Allen if he wants to return.
Going to be a lot for Jeremiah Alexander to overcome there in terms of players in front of him, but definitely an impressive young man, an impressive athlete, and a championship pedigree of an athlete coming from Thompson High School in Alabaster right here in the Birmingham area. He's Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, coming on here to talk about Bama recruiting, setting us up here from the Under Armour All-America game in Orlando, Florida. Justin, as always, man, stay safe, take care of yourself, be good, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Always fun to get a chance to talk with Justin and my man Mike McCoy in terms of Crimson Tide football. But, folks, we're going to go to a break right now because you know what time it is? Pick up the phone, baby. We go back to you, the Alabama football fan base, to get your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your phone calls, your passion oozing through in the conversation right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your four-finger bling necklace.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Marvin Constant, All-SEC linebacker and 1999 SEC champion. You are listening to In My Own Words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to WhitwellSports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian.
And we're back in, folks, from the break of a number one form, number one ticket for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday hump day. Appreciate you guys checking us out here on today as we're inching closer and closer to the rematch, the sequel, Bama-Georgia from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Going to be an awesome, fun, entertaining matchup right there. Also, reminding you guys to run those likes up. Give us that thumbs up. Hit that like button on the show. Make this your show, your network, your channel, platform, and space to talk Crimson Tide football. We go to the phone lines right now to grab your calls. The call segment is brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That's the number right there, 205-448-1358. We grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name, where you calling from.
Stephen A., it's your boy Coach Smoot, man. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. We're getting closer. We're getting closer, Senator, man. We're getting closer to this game between Bama and the Bulldogs. I'm ready for Indianapolis. I'm ready for Lucas Oil Stadium. I may try to find some Indianapolis Colts cups or Peyton Manning fathead or something.
Man, hey, people wonder why I call you Stephen A., man. I call you Stephen Alabama. That's because you know everything about Alabama. That's what A stands for. You ain't like that other receding hairline Stephen on ESPN, man. You got the legit stuff. You got the legit knowledge. So we're gonna keep you with the Stephen Alabama. But man, when I tell you, I love what Mike McCoy was saying about his insight on the game, on his prediction. The only thing I disagree with, I think Jay Will being moved around like he was against Cincinnati early in the Cincinnati game is going to be more effective than just relying on him to stretch it on the outside. I don't know if you all paid attention, but we had one set where we had JoJo Earl at slot. Jay Will at slot. JoJo Earl was at the Z, and he running the quick smoke screen, and Jay Will was running the wheel off of it. And those type of formations and sets is what gives UGA problems, because if they don't walk a corner down inside there to stick with Jay Will, or if they give him a free release, that's what causes that confusion. And I think Bill O'Brien is going to do a good job of disguising that and scheming that for sure. Another thing is defensively, I think the more we make Stetson Bennett be a quarterback, meaning step back and read, if we can get 4-man pressure, 5-man pressure, and run the zone man reads that we were throwing at them to a strong side most of the game, I think that'll be more effective again this game, because you got two different corners out there on the field now. And I don't see Kyrie, the way Kyrie plays, he's very, very safe, but he plays the ball effectively. And it doesn't take away from his depth coverage or the cushion he gives. But the dude is good, man. The dude is legit. I don't know what took so long to get him on the field. I understand Josh Joe was reliable, seniority and all that stuff, man. But Kyrie Jackson is a dog, man. I could just imagine how good he would look if his feet was wet with, a lot of meaningful gameplay. But it's a lot of things that I see can go right for Bama. If we come out starting fast with the tempo offensively and just being able to get at least 2 consecutive stops on the defensive side, this is our game again. I believe it'll be worse than the last game. We get Kirby to scrambling and getting off his game plan and getting Todd Monken off his script on offense. Those are good signs of a blowout. And that's what I see happening, man. I see us out scheming Georgia again. Until Kirby Smart shows us differently, he will continue to get out schemed by teams that are equally talented as Georgia. And that's going to cost them. So that's my insight on the season. And I really appreciate you guys doing what you do. And like I said, Roll Tide, man. Y'all know I'm going to always be here with TDA, the best Alabama sports outlet out here. And y'all take it easy, brother.
Absolutely. Senator Hines checking into the show. And I look at this game. I look at this game for obvious reasons. You want to have balance offensively. You want to take shots. But it all goes back to Bill O'Brien. Does he outthink the room? That's the one thing you don't want. If you know what you have to do to create that success, then go forth with what you know. Don't outthink the room. Don't overthink yourself. If Bill O'Brien does not do that, I think Alabama has a good shot here of winning this game again here against Georgia. But we grab a call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Well, Stephen, I wait to hear the second segment to call in. I want everybody to call in tonight, view their opinion. I always call in first, so I like to, I like to hear the other callers. I've enjoyed tonight's show. There's been some great calls on here. All the TDA Blue Wrench game, the chat. Oh my goodness, this show's on fire. Throw some water on it. 227 people in the chat. We love y'all. TDA loves every one of you. Y'all the reason this show is what it is today. Stay on this show with this man. He's going places. He's sky high. He's going to the moon. This is the bottom line. Georgia knows they have to disrupt Bryce Young. You got number 17, 95, and 99s coming up that middle like a herd of turtles. And we played a horseshoe around that defense in the SEC championship game to beat them. Now, when they did come up the middle, the offensive line held long enough for Bryce to make those touchdown throws. Now, we're going to have to do the same thing in this game here because they come in and they know they got to disrupt that man, because if they don't and they let him stand back there all day, he's like Tom Brady. He's going to cut you all to pieces because them receivers are going to be open sooner or later. But I'm going to make a huge prediction for Friday. I'm going to put my reputation on the line with a Leonard's loser. So I'm going to let everybody get that on your mind. We need everybody on here Friday to have the biggest show we've ever had before the championship game on Monday, and I'm going to make the big prediction. Stephen, let me wear them shoes. Where'd you get them cleats at? Can I wear them?
Limited edition, custom-made edition, man. We got people wearing that just love and support the show. Miss Erica B designed cleats here in Birmingham. She did an outstanding job with these shoes.
Oh, yeah, those were a great job. She does great work. I hope she's on here tonight. Everybody needs to go see that lady and have something made, something bought with Alabama on it, because it's beautiful. All right, I'm getting out here. Everybody be here Friday. We're going to hear the big prediction. Reputation's on the line. I'm going to do it. So here we go. I love all of you. Bye-bye, everyone. We'll see everybody Friday. Y'all be safe. Thank you, Stephen. Bye-bye. I love all of you.
You heard the President Whalen be back in here on Friday. He's got the masterful prediction. You do not want to miss that. Now, we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's up, man? It's Uncle Charles, man.
Uncle Charles is in the building. Oh, my gosh. What's going on, Uncle Charles?
Man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. Happy New Year to you, man.
Yeah, man. I just been, going through the motions, man. Just trying to stay quiet with everything going on around in the country and everything. So, just spending time with my family and my grandbaby. But let me just say this, man. And I want to tell all the Alabama fans this, and this is so true. We will have a winner. We will have an SEC champion. That's true. And I'm hoping it's Alabama. But let me just say this, man. Alabama has came a long way because they weren't looking too good, the last couple of games of the season. I mean, I didn't know what was going on about it. I said, what is this, The Exorcist? This is stick model? I didn't know what was going on. So if we win, we're happy. If they lose, we'll be a little disappointed. But we got to be proud of these young men for getting this far. So I'm proud of the New York. I'm proud of Nick Saban. He got away all the way to the championship. I believe we're going to win. Everybody believes we're going to win, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's why people worried about who we recruit. Let me explain something to you. If we land 25 in recruit, that's when you worry. Don't worry about when we're in the top 5. But let me just say this. Georgia have not learned, just like I didn't learn. You know, a couple of years I got hit by a car, knocked up in the air, and I rolled down in a ditch. And when I got to the hospital and realized where I was, 3 months later I went to that same corner and got hit again. Now, either I didn't learn the first time or I need to stay off that corner. And, you know, Georgia want to keep on messing with us just like them little kids was out there. You know, I ain't been to the zoo in about 20 years. And I said, I'm going to go to the zoo. Everybody want me to go to the zoo. I don't want to go to the zoo, but I go. You keep on asking me. And there was them little kids and them little ducks over there messing with that gorilla. And it looked like that gorilla didn't want to fool with them. I said, hey, y'all need to kind of leave that gorilla alone. You don't look like he in a good mood. Oh, his name is Pete. He come from Australia. Okay. And man, he turned around and breathed on that woman, hit that woman. Oh! I was out the door before the children was. And let me tell you something, man. And I ain't going back to the zoo no more. Let me give you a service announcement and close. I've been noticing, I'm not worried about Georgia, but I've been noticing there's been a lot of human beings fighting kangaroos. What is going on here? Now, we don't lost 2 times to these kangaroos. And the last person that fought a kangaroo, he got the Mike Tyson treatment. Leave these kangaroos alone. They call them kangaroos. I call them big rats. So leave them alone. And that's all I got to say, man. Roll tide, roll tide. We're going to get another one, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Love you, bro.
Appreciate Uncle Charles for calling in. I mean, I'm telling you, you get your Alabama football news here. You get your National Geographic news here. We get news on kangaroos. I mean, we get news on all type of stuff here on In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. We grabbed this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen M., what's up? I'm Austin from Rex, Georgia.
What's happening with you, man?
I'm good. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on one play I had seen watching the Cincinnati game on defense. I love the package. And another thing, I love your show, man. Like, I always watch it. It's something that gets me going. It's something to look forward to, you know, in this world with all this COVID stuff. You know, it's something to look forward to, smile, laugh, think about your favorite team. But with that being said, the play I was talking about, when they had Branch, Henry To'oTo'o, they had Dallas Turner and Will on the same side. I feel like that package, we need to run that more in the Georgia game, because I feel like we got great pressure, and we have a lot of defenders out there to guard everything. But I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that and give you a shout out. The show's good, man. I love it. Keep doing your thing. You're going to go up top with it. I love Bama Nation. I love Bama. I love it. But, yeah.
Appreciate that call right there. Now, going back to the package that Austin mentioned, that's one of the Dime Rabbits packages where you have Will Anderson and Dallas Turner both out there. But what's crazy was Pete Golding had them both on the same side. That's scary when you have Will Anderson with a hand in the dirt and you have Dallas Turner right behind him on the same side coming after the quarterback. One of those two is going to get free. So if Pete Golding can continue with that and diversified some against Georgia, that would be something to watch right there. We continue with calls right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Hey, this is Smitty from Pensacola.
Smitty, what's happening with you?
Hey, man, first of all, I want to give a shout-out to Coach Smoot. I know he's probably still listening, but he's my favorite caller by far, man. One thing that I like that he says, he tells Bama fans never to lose hope, man. I'm a firm believer in that too. I just remember when we had those close games, a lot of people were calling in, and and just acting up, man, making it seem like we weren't Bama, making it seem like something was wrong. But now look at us, man. We looking at the championship game. We beat Auburn. We beat Georgia one time. Handled Cincinnati. So I just want to echo that. Never lose hope in Alabama. Secondly, it seems like Vegas is setting Georgia fans up, bro. Like, I don't know, how can we have beat this team by 17 points and then turn around and be 3-point underdogs, man? I feel like it's a setup.
It's them bad poker chips, Smitty, them bad poker chips.
Yeah, man. But I feel like for some odd reason it's gonna shrink a little bit when it's all said and done. And I feel like a lot of people from Georgia gonna lose a whole lot of money, man. But anyway, man, I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna leave you with a Roll Tide. Yeah, and I feel real good about our chances of winning this thing, man. Take care. Roll Tide out.
Absolutely. Appreciate Smitty from Pensacola calling in, giving his thoughts here on the show. I mean, Vegas has got Georgia smack dab, not just a 3-point favorite, but I believe the money line has went up from minus 160 to minus 170. I think it went up 10, but for Georgia. But we'll see. I'll fact check that. But the last time I did check, it was 160, minus 160, that being the money line. But we take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
What's going on, Steven? It's Mattress Matt from Mobile.
Matt, what's happening, brother?
Oh man, just chilling. I'm excited. What I think's going to happen, Kirby, if they, when they do the coin toss, Georgia's going to want the ball, right?
Right.
They're going to want to come out there with fists blazing, right? They're going to want to come out with some kind of cute trick play or something like that and get some points on the board. Make it seem like, we're big bad Georgia. We just beat Michigan by, 20-something points. It was Michigan, okay? It was Michigan. Come on. So I don't want to go, I don't want Alabama to go in there like they're cocky, like, oh, we got this, everything. But Kirby Smart, he was acting like, he was all nonchalant and cool, acting, after they lost to Alabama, like, oh, this isn't a problem. He even had a little smirk on his face, that no big deal. We were almost like they were expecting that they were going to lose anyway, just to test Alabama out, so they could play them in the championship. That kind of attitude is kind of what I felt from Kirby Smart. And I just want to say, I don't think he'll ever beat Nick Saban again. I think he acted like he didn't care, that he lost Alabama. No, he's seething. He can't sleep at night. And he's going to get there, and the same thing's going to happen again. And I'm afraid we might see a psychological breakdown or some kind of mental breakdown from Kirby Smart. He might pull a Tim Tebow and start crying on the sideline or something like that, because this man really, 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 really wants to beat Nick Saban, and he's not going to be able to do it once again. And I don't know if he's going to be able to take it emotionally.
This right here is a huge. This right here, Matt, is a huge game for Kirby Smart. It's a huge game for him mentally. It's a huge game for the Georgia fan base, because for the longest they've been crying out, "When do we get one? When does this happen? When will it ever happen?" So this is a big moment here for Kirby. But we appreciate Mattress Mather from Mobile for that phone call here, helping us out here on the show. But it's going to be a huge game next Monday between Alabama and Georgia. There's a lot on the line here for Kirby Smart. We grabbed this call, too. We grabbed this call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How we feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Roll Tide, Stephen M. This is Tide Man checking in from Jackson, Mississippi.
What's going on, Tide Man? How we feeling?
I'm feeling great. Just excited from Monday night to get here. Forgive me, I tuned in a little bit late, so forgive me if you already answered this question. But before I get into my quick points, can you give me an update on Chris Owens?
Chris Owens here. So Coach Saban talked about he and Emil Ekiyor, that the training staff, Jeff Allen and the training staff, will have those guys set to go for the national championship game against Georgia. The hope is that both will be prepared to go. You do have J.C. Latham, the freshman, who can play right guard if Ekiyor cannot go. Latham played at that right guard position during that matchup against Cincinnati. And then you also have Amari Kite, who can play right tackle if Owens can't go. But Saban, high hope that both of those two, Owens and Ekiyor, will be on the field against Georgia.
Yeah, that's great news. And what I want to say mainly this evening, Stephen M., and to everyone listening, let's just sit back and realize 15 years of the greatest dynasty in the history of sports, in my humble opinion. And regardless of what happens this Monday night, I am just so thrilled and so proud and so happy to be an Alabama fan. And what Nick Saban, the joy that he has given us for the past 15 years, the excitement, the victories, and not only the fact that he's won so much, but the way he's gone about doing it, the Bama way, the right way, the classy way. Let's just sit back and enjoy the past 15 years and not get spoiled and not take it for granted, because nobody will ever see anything like this again in the history of college football. Nobody will ever duplicate what Nick Saban has done at the capstone over the past 15 years. And I am so thankful for every minute of it. And I wanted to ask you, reminiscing about that first national championship team, that Julio Jones and Mark Ingram and Javier Arenas and Mark Baird and those guys. I'm so thankful to them for what for getting it all started for us. And I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you've ever had this guy on as a guest, but if you haven't, I would love to hear you interview Javier Arenas, because he, to me, is one of the most underrated, unsung players under the Nick Saban era. There was just something about that guy, his special teams play, his defensive play, his leadership, the way he carried himself. I don't know. I always kind of had a special place in my heart for Javier Arenas, and I would love to find out what he's doing these days and get his insights on the current state of Alabama football. And the last thing I'll say, I usually don't like to spend time talking about other people. It's not the Bama way, but let me tell you, man, UJ fans, after Auburn fans, they've got to be the most obnoxious. They sat there and they got their butts whipped, and they're still over here talking trash about how they're going to run, how they're going to dominate us and all this kind of stuff. They're always barking until they lose. And then when they lose, you don't hear a mumbling peep out of them. And so, man, I hope they get out 10, 14 points ahead of us like they did the last game and get cocky and start barking, and then we come back and just wipe the field with them. I respect Kirby Smart. I respect their players. Their fans, they're classless, and I want to shut them up one more time. But anyway, that's all I got to say this evening. Roll Tide, and I'll check in with you Friday, hopefully.
Absolutely appreciate Tide, man. Checking in here out of Mississippi. I think Javier Arenas is coaching now. I want to say he's coaching now. I think he spent a year or two or few as a grad assistant at Alabama. But I think Javier is coaching now. But if we can get him, John, I definitely want to try to have a conversation with Javier Arenas. Absolutely. People, if you want your photo featured on the show when you call in, here's what you do. You send that picture to tdalabamateam@gmail.com, that email. You email that photo to tdalabamateam@gmail.com, and your photo, along with your name, will be featured on the show when you call in. So check that out right there. We continue with this topic here, and this is on one Will Anderson, Alabama sophomore linebacker. I remember, John, 2020, we were in Tuscaloosa doing the show, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was on the set with some roses on the platform and a red shirt on. And I remember I said out of my own mouth, Will Anderson, closest thing to Derek Thomas Bama fans will see in quite some time. And everybody thought I was smoking crack. But I said, Will Anderson, closest thing to Derek Thomas in quite some time. Well, people, Will Anderson is half a sack, not a whole sack, half a sack away from tying Derek Thomas's single season record his second place single season record for sacks in school history, that being 18 from 1987. Of course, Thomas has the ultimate record for a single season, 27 sacks in 1988. But Will Anderson is a full sack. He's a full sack away from being solely number 2 all-time single-season sack record books behind Derek Thomas in terms of Alabama. Will Anderson is also now 4th all-time for career sacks. He's got 24 and a half, so he's behind Kendall Moorhead, who has 25, Jonathan Allen, who has 28, and of course the incomparable Derek Thomas, who has 52. So Will is rising up the record books in terms of single season and career sack numbers. The man is an absolute menace, and looking forward to seeing what he does in the national championship game. But we take a final break here on the show, people. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we tidy up loose ends by discussing how does Alabama neutralize one Brock Bowers, the freshman tight end for Georgia. We discuss that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back rocking and rolling in here from the break of a #1 ticket for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate all of you for checking us out on today as we're inching closer and closer to the rematch, the sequel, Bama-Georgia for the national championship, representing the Southeastern Conference. The game taking place at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. But as always, we want to remind you to check out TDAwear.com. That being TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship from the 2020 campaign, we want you to check out our championship collection merch. This means you grab you an 18 of them things, folk, hoodie, t-shirt or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go over Championship Collections merch tab, and you get you that gear today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. But we look at now, there is one guy for Georgia Alabama must neutralize. It has to limit. It has to take this particular player out of his element, because this was the lone bright spot Georgia had offensively in the SEC championship game against the Crimson Tide, and that young man would be freshman tight end Brock Bowers out of California, the young man at 6'5". Bowers in the matchup had 10 catches for 139 yards and a touchdown. He grabbed everything that was thrown in his direction. He was making contested catches. He was skying in the air for the ball. He took a little screen pass, little screenplay for a touchdown. He was just all over the field, and he was a matchup problem the first time around for Alabama's linebackers and defensive backs. Now, according to Coach Saban, he spoke Monday about how Bowers is a premier player in college football, and he is. This is a guy that has over 800 yards receiving. He has 12 touchdowns. He leads Georgia for receptions, yards, and touchdowns. I believe Brock Bowers has 2 or 3 100-yard games for the Bulldogs at the tight end position. Just a very special freshman, a guy that can make just a lot of big plays in the field. And he runs routes like a receiver. So you can have him as an inline tight end. You can have him spread out wide as a receiver. This guy just makes plays. He's just incredibly productive here in their offense. And Stetson Bennett is going to look for him, whether that be on third down, whether that be in the red zone, whether that be on crossing patterns, on slant routes, on drag routes, on just any particular route concept that will be used to get him open. Number 19, Brock Bowers, is going to get the football. So this is going to be big here for Alabama. How does it go about limiting him, neutralizing him, stopping that kind of production? What does Pete Golding do as a defensive schemer, strategizer, play caller, coordinator to make sure that Bowers does not go running off on the plug on the Alabama defensive secondary? So I look at this. Kyrie Jackson becomes very interesting to me in this situation. Kyrie Jackson, the JUCO DB, becomes very intriguing here because at 6'3", with a 6'5" wingspan, putting him on Brock Bowers would be pretty interesting to see there, because I know Kyrie would give up some pounds, a couple pounds to Bowers, but I think just that size and that wingspan and having that be able to frustrate, disrupt the timing there between Stetson Bennett and Bowers would be interesting to have Kyrie Jackson right there, because he has the length. He has the wingspan. I remember talking with his former high school coach, Dalen Parrish, out of Wise High School in Maryland. And Coach Parrish talked with me about how, when Kyrie played there, he was a tremendous wide receiver. Has elite hands, elite skill, elite ability. He knows what wide receivers are going to do. He knows what tight ends will do. So he knows what route you're going to run, what release you're going to take, how you're going to get to the football. So when he gets his hands on that ball, that being Jackson, he knows what to do with it. So I just feel like if Saban and Pete Golding were to go the route of having the 6'3" with a 6'5" wingspan Kyrie Jackson on Brock Bowers, I think that could be very much so intriguing there. Other combinations you can look at, Brian Branch has been playing out of his mind. I mean, he's been unbelievable these last few games here. He has elevated the play of the Alabama defense, and if you could maybe bracket a Bowers with a Brian Branch and a DeMarco Hellams, or a Brian Branch and a Daniel Wright, or a Brian Branch and a Kyrie Jackson, if you could find a way to bracket Bowers and just really take him out of the picture. Like I said, he was the lone huge bright spot in the SEC championship game for Georgia. So if a Tide can find a way to work out a combination of what could we do here in the secondary to make this young man at 6'5" and Bowers a non-factor out there on the field, that will be critical there for the Crimson Tide, because Stetson Bennett and Todd Monken, they're going to be crafting up this game plan to get 19 the ball everywhere they can and create big plays during the passing game. Yes, George Pickens will play for Georgia. We'll see how healthy he is. Yes, Georgia has other targets out there in terms of receiving options, but 19 Bowers is somebody that can go up and go get that thing in terms of the football. So if you're Alabama, if you're Pete Gold, if you're Nick Saban, if you're this Alabama secondary, you got to figure out what combinations could we use in the secondary to keep 19 at bay, whether that be him having Kyrie Jackson on him exclusively, or do you bracket him on guys like Brian Branch and DeMarco Hellams, or Brian Branch and Daniel Wright? I'm pretty sure Saban is putting all the schematics and planning together here for how to go about handling a very talented freshman tight end for Georgia. But as always, Tide fans, You want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by downloading or by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, check us out. We got you right here, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, your man, I will be back on Friday continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. If you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link in the description as well. If you're also trying to get the 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys that we own, thefourthquarter.com, that link in the description too. But till next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, I know we are in the new year, but continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing, to not be bored. You be sure to grab you those 3 hearty meals a day. You get those 3 good laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and as always, you've been listening to In My Own Words.